Hello everyone, and welcome to another Tuesday night here with us on our YouTube channel. We hope you guys are all doing well. And if you're celebrating the festivities, happy Pesach, right? We're starting off with Pesach tomorrow. And I hope you guys are all doing well since last week. This week we're starting a new topic, and it's called From the Love of Man to the Love of the Creator. Now, if you're new to our YouTube channel, you can always check out our Kabbalah.info website and get a good idea about what the wisdom of authentic Kabbalah really is and how you can study. And if you like what you read, what you hear, what you see, then you can join a Cab Academy and you can join like-minded people all around the world, probably one near you as well. So let's get smashing. And yeah, let's start reading on our new topic with our first excerpt. Now, one of the most important things in the wisdom of Kabbalah is to actually feel something outside of yourself. Now, as we've learned before in the lessons of perception of reality, you know that everything that we sense and feel is felt in us, okay? This is always the case, actually, but because we are egoistic in nature and we always want to fulfill our desires in an egoistic way, we really don't have a connection with anybody outside of us, right? We're only concerned about ourselves. So that means I only feel myself. However, if I only feel myself, my life will be exactly how it is right now. And if you're watching this show, you're probably not happy with that situation, right? Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be here, right? Okay, so what we want to do is change that. And how we can go about changing it is by actually working on how I can get out of myself and disconnect actually from myself so that I can feel and perceive a different reality, something beyond the borders of my corporeal perception or my corporeal sensory organs. Now, is that really possible? You're probably asking. Of course it's possible. If it wasn't, we wouldn't be teaching it, would we? Okay. So now the reason we're studying this is very important, because from the love of another person to the love of the creator, from love of man to the love of the creator, or love thy neighbor as thyself, is, it sounds like a little, I don't know, slogan that nowadays politicians use. However, it's not the case. By working on the love of others, you actually begin to kind of get out of your skin, all right? And the reason, the way that happens is because you begin to worry less about yourself. And then you begin to think about and worry about the benefit of others more. Now, you might think that's a little silly. Well, corporeally and logically, it doesn't really make sense, right? Because if I'm to think about other people, how am I supposed to get satisfied in life, right? Okay. However, though, you're already not satisfied in life. Okay, this is why you're in a spiritual search. If you were, like I said before, you wouldn't be here. So it's time to take a look at things from outside of the regular box that we've been looking in for, right? So why don't we now work on something and try something completely different, because everything else you probably tried didn't work, all right? So let's see what the Kabbalists say about it. And if I actually begin to think and, well, not think, but feel what is outside of me, like the others rather than myself, then I can actually expand my perception and sensation of life and get a much bigger sensation, a bigger vessel of reception, if you like, to feel a broader reality. Because if I'm only thinking about myself and living life from within just my desires, I only have my limited life. But think about it. If I'm connected to more and more people, then I actually add on the sensation, the perception of others to me. So I'm actually growing myself bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And that's the whole idea. And this is why in the wisdom of Kabbalah, you can actually have a wider perspective of reality, something much more greater than what we're currently feeling, simply because we're stepping outside the boundaries of our 5 sensory organs, and we're building something outside of that structure. All right, so let's see what the Kabbalists say. This is the most important topic, right? So we've got to really focus on it. Rabash article number 410, self-love and love of the creator. This excerpt is from this article. There is self-love and there is love of the creator. And there is a medium, which is love of others. Through love of others, we come to the love of the creator. This is the meaning, what Rabbi Akiva said, love your neighbor as yourself is a great rule in the Torah. So let's read that again. There's self-love and there is love of the creator. And there's a medium, which is love of others. Through love of others, we come to love of the creator. This is the meaning of what Rabbi Akiva said, love your neighbor as yourself. It's a great rule in the Torah. So let's once again see how we can connect to that one. And I'm in a new studio, guys, and it's a little hot, so I don't want to be melting away here. And I don't think that aircon's working. Okay, so there is self-love. This is fixed. Okay, we are born with self-love. Nothing we can do about it. All right. This is why in everything we do, the first thing we think about is, well, what about me? What about me? What am I going to get out of this? Even if I do a favor to someone, it's because I feel good about myself, right? If I do something good to, I don't know, to someone who's in need, then I feel good because I feel like I'm greater, right? Because whenever I give, actually, I feel great, okay? Because it makes me higher than everybody else. So we're always doing everything, no exception, even loving our kids, despite the fact that they may be irritating, okay, is still because we love ourselves. Why? Because they belong to us anyway, right? They're a part of us. So even the love of our children is kind of because they're a part of us. And how can I say that, right? Well, I can say that because you don't love your neighbor's kids like you love your own kid, do you? All right. So it's obvious we're loving them because they belong to us. They're a part of us. So we don't love the neighbor's children like we love our own children. And that is already a sign that I'm loving my kids egoistically, okay, with self-love. I can say that about everything, okay, everything. Same with, a mum and their baby, right? She loves the baby. And so how can I say she loves the baby egotistically? Well, same reason. She doesn't love the neighbor's kids. In fact, when we look at the neighbor's kids, we say, oh my God, look at that awful behavior. How could that kid do that? All right. And then we look at our kids, despite the fact that they may be wrecking the house, we go, oh, he's so cool. He's a rebel. Okay. Why? Because he's like, you don't see the bad things in your kids because they make you feel bad, but you see the bad things in other people's kids because they make you feel good. Why? Because you can compare and say, hey, I got better kids. All right. So everything, even the love of our children, is really egoistic. And we don't see that, unfortunately. So in life, as we live more and more and we study the wisdom of Kabbalah more and more, what we begin to see is that we do everything in order to please ourselves. Even the good deeds that we do, they make us feel good. And if they didn't make us feel good, we would not do that. Okay, so that is self-love. Now, a lot of people will disagree with that because, of course, they'll disagree because they don't feel good about it. Okay, so in the wisdom of Kabbalah, what happens is when we study the wisdom of Kabbalah, when we work, and then we apply what we learn within the group, then I begin to see the truth. Okay, and the truth is that I'm always thinking about myself, always thinking about me. And that's called self-love. And we are 100% self-love, not 99.99%, but 100% self-love. And for us to first understand anything about love, we must first come to realize and see what true self-love is, okay, and how horrific it can be. Okay, so that is self-love. It's not just written there for the sake of writing an article. It's there because a person needs to come and see that he is just all absorbed and buried and swamped in self-love. Okay, so that's the first thing. And there is the love of the Creator, right? Call it God, call it Allah, call it whatever you like. Okay, so there is the love of the Creator. Now, the love of the Creator doesn't mean I have to love the Creator, because the Creator doesn't need really our love. If he did, it would mean he was deficient. So the love of the Creator means to love in the form that the Creator loves. Okay, so the love of the Creator means to actually have the ability to love like the Creator without any self-benefit. Okay, so that's what the love of the Creator is. The Creator did not create us so he could be happy as we love him. All right, because that would be really egoistic like this world, isn't it? So that's not the case. So the love of the Creator means that I actually have to love in the same form as the Creator if I want to exit the boundaries of my current perception of reality. Now, in order to get to that state, which is called a spiritual state. Why? Because it's completely disconnected from my current perception, which is completely corporeal. There is a medium. Now, that medium is the bridge, because the Creator doesn't really exist in our senses. Okay, we can't feel the Creator, so I can't say now I'm going to love like the Creator loves, because there is no Creator. That would only be fantasy, and it would be a lie, okay? And we cannot grow from a lie. So in order for me to practice how to come to a love, or how to come to the real form of love, where everything, all benefit, I got no self-benefit, all the self-benefit is completely disconnected, and all the benefit is only towards the other person, I have to work on it. So it's like a laboratory, right? So our working environment is like a lab. So now I've got the friends there. The friends I can see. So when I work with them towards loving them, I can get feedback which is solid. Okay, no airy-fairy stuff. I love them or I hate them. Okay, there is no really in-between mumbo jumbo. So it becomes clear for me when I'm working with a person in front of me. So I can say, I like this person, I love this person, I don't like this person, I hate this person, and all kinds of things in all the shades of gray, from white to black, from love and hate, is all going to be in there. And all of those discernments need to pop up, because if they don't pop up, I can't realize self-love. I can't really understand what self-love is. Okay. So the work in the group, when we're trying to develop this new sense of love, to love like the Creator without a hint of self-benefit, I need to practice it on others. Okay. And that is where the whole trick lies. This is why it's called, from the love of others, you come to the love of the Creator. Okay. So by trying to love others, I first have to see how much in self-love I am. As soon as I see how much self-love I'm immersed in, then I can come to discernment, right? Do I want to remain in that self-love, or is it so disgusting in my eyes that I want to leave it and, completely get away from it? Okay, because some people enjoy that. Okay, so you can't really tell them to leave it behind. So I have to, during that spiritual work, I have to come to discernments where I really need to see and understand how self-love is actually causing me harm. Okay. Now, in this world, we don't really see self-love as the cause of all our problems. Okay. But the truth of the matter is, if all of us, 8 billion people, are living in the form of self-love and self-benefit before the benefit of others, why are we so unhappy? Right? Because logic says, well, I should fill up myself. I should take care of my own desires, do what I want to do, be free to do what I want to do. And we do all that. And then we still end up being unhappy. So obviously we're doing something not right. Okay. So it doesn't take a genius or a rocket scientist to understand that our current nature is causing us all the problems in the world, right? Our family problems, problems with the kids, problems at work, problems between countries, all those wars and conflicts, and all kinds of irritations that happen to us in life are only happening to us because we're all thinking about ourselves and never about the other party. And even if we are thinking about the other party, giving them some consideration, it's because we either have to from lack of choice, because it's a way of getting what we want. And otherwise we wouldn't even give them a crumb. Okay. So it's either that, or I enjoy the fact that I'm doing something good for others. Okay. Like, I don't know, like those people who do charity work, right? They enjoy the fact that they're helping others. They get a lot of pleasure from that. But that's also egoistic. And if they weren't getting pleasure from it, you think they'd be doing it? Of course not. Nobody can do anything that does not give them some kind of fulfillment. It's not possible. Accordingly, the work should bring us to understand self-love. And then we should realize in the work how this is causing me harm. This is the only thing that's really causing me all the harm in the world. Once I see that, I can want to leave it behind. I can say to myself, you know what? I don't think living like this is a good idea. Okay, because it's just like, we're not getting anywhere with it. And that is the whole of your Pesach story. Okay, pretty much. So you want to leave behind the evil, which is your self-love. And that's also called Pharaoh, right? So running away from Egypt, the story of Pesach is actually related to a person who's trying to get away from his self-loving nature. Okay, so this is the meaning of Rav Akiva said, love your neighbor as yourself is a great rule in the Torah. Torah is the spiritual study, right? I'm not talking about a book or anything. Well, there is a book called Torah, obviously, but the important thing here is this. The biggest rule of the study, Torah, comes from the words Torah, which means enlightenment or, lighting, and Horah means user manual. So if I use the wisdom of Kabbalah, our manual, correctly, I should get enlightened. And what is enlightenment, right? Enlightenment is to see the truth. Okay, that's what's called enlightenment. So the Torah should bring me to a state where I see the truth. Okay, and this is the biggest rule in the Torah, because if I can separate myself, cut myself off from self-love and just think about others, then I can actually elevate myself spiritually. Yeah, I know it sounds illogical, but hey, you've been doing everything so logically in your life so far, and this is where you ended up. Okay, so we can't really say you've had a lot of success with your logic right now. So we're trying something new. Rabash article 410, self-love and love of the Creator. So we're continuing with that. Old Hillel said to the Gentile who told him, teach me the whole Torah on one leg. He said to him, that which you hate, do not do to your friend. And the rest, go study. This is so because through love of others, we come to love the Creator. And then the whole Torah and all the wisdom are in his heart. It's written, the Creator said to Israel, be sure the whole wisdom and the whole Torah are easy. Anyone who fears me performs the words of Torah. All the wisdom and all of the Torah are in his heart. Concerning fear, it is explained in the Sulam, the ladder commentary in the Zohar, that it is fear that he might not be able to bestow upon the Creator, since it is the conduct of love that he wants to bestow upon the Creator. Hence, one who has love of the Creator wants to bestow, and this is called adhesion, as in, and to cleave unto him. By this, the Creator passes on to him Torah and wisdom. It follows that he taught him on one leg, meaning that through love of others, he will achieve the degree of love of the Creator. And then he will be rewarded with Torah and wisdom. All right, so let's get back and go sentence by sentence. And you can let me know if there are any questions, okay? All right, there are 2 questions, really? All right, well, let's check them out. Okay, so Karen's asking, let's see, how can we engage in love in friends and also feel lower than the friends? How can we engage in the love of friends and also feel lower than the friends? Well, if you love the friends, you can't feel higher than them anyway, okay? So think about it for a second. If I feel I'm higher than someone, it means that I'm not really loving them. Even when mums love their babies, right? Okay, mums love their kids. So what are they doing for the kids? They're serving them all the time, aren't they? They're raising them, serving them, feeding them, cleaning them, and so on. So her actions are actually as a servant to the kid, and she's loving it. Okay, so the whole concept here is what? Because of her love for the baby, she doesn't mind serving. She doesn't mind doing all the cleaning up. She doesn't mind taking care of it. She doesn't mind being completely engaged in fulfilling the baby rather than herself, right? Even when she's sick, she's happy to get up and go and take care of things for the kids. Okay, why is that? Because she feels that they're great. And if she didn't feel that they were great and important, she wouldn't do it. So love requires that I am lower. Ingrid's asking, why do some stay in receiving mode even though they see this as suffering? What is missing? I'll tell you what is missing. More suffering is missing. No, seriously, I'm not kidding. Okay. Why? Because the only time a person changes in life is when suffering becomes unbearable. If they still feel like I can bear this and get another cent or 50 cents, right? They're happy to suffer. So the suffering needs to come to a tipping point where they just can't bear it anymore. And in fact, in humanity, the only thing there is missing for questioning life is the suffering. Rachel's asking, is this reference to one leg referring to the right and left lines? And perhaps seeing the true value of each, using them correctly. Well, actually, it means standing on one leg means that just give me one principle. Let me just start with something easy. Don't give me the 5 books of Moses and say, go study. Just tell me something simple. I can do a simple math. All right. So I said, listen, it's really easy, dude. Just, don't do any harm to people. Don't do things to others that you wouldn't like being done to you. And that's a fair, simple principle, because now all I have to do is think before I do something to somebody else. Would I like it if somebody did that to me? If the question is no, well, then don't do it. Okay? Don't do it. All right? If you're not sure, don't do it. If you think that, oh, maybe, it's a far-fetched thing that something bad might happen, like 1 in a billion, don't do it. Okay? Just don't do it. Okay? Because obviously you got doubts. But that's the best way to go. And it's also quite an easy principle. Because I can just, I can start to think about, well, how would I like to be treated? Okay, it's the same thing. Okay, so I can say to myself, well, I'm going to just jump on the bus now. If I was the bus driver, how would I like people relating to me? And then I can say, okay, I'm going to give him a smile. I'm going to say, thank you. Have a nice day, Mr. Driver. I'm going to move on. Okay. And that's it. So if I begin to start just thinking about how I should behave according to how I'd like to be treated, that's also a good step forward. Why? Because I'm already taking somebody else into consideration. And it's not because I'm polite. Okay, this is not about being polite or anything. This is not about ethics. This is about building for yourself a new framework of relating to other people with everything that I do. And what happens? What's the benefit? Well, for one thing, habit becomes a second nature. So there's great benefit, because all of a sudden you making sure you kind of equalize yourself to somebody else. Okay, you're not bestowing to them, but maybe you equalize yourself to them. You're not feeling like you're above them. You kind of bring everything to an equal level. So that's why it's really important for us to behave in that way. Okay. And that's it. So let's move forward. Just bear with me. Okay. Right. Now then, item number two, right? We're reading that from sentence by sentence at the beginning. Old Hillel said to the Gentile who told him, teach me the whole Torah on one leg. He said to him, that which you hate, do not do to your friend. And the rest is go study. This is so because through love of others, we come to love the Creator, and then the whole Torah and all the wisdom are in his heart. So this is a really important concept here. As you can see, Hillel is not beating around the bush. He's a very pragmatic kind of guy, very nice and easy. And he gives them one little principle. Just do that and see how you go. All right. Now, as you can see, the rest of his sentence is the rest is go and study. So what does that really mean? Well, through all the things I do, I begin to actually study myself as well. Am I doing this? Do I want to do this? How good am I doing it? Am I really thinking about this? Okay. So as you evaluate yourself through the application of this act alone, you begin to evaluate what self-love is and how it works on you, how your nature works, and so forth. It's written, the Creator said to Israel, be sure the whole wisdom and the whole Torah are easy. Anyone who fears me and performs the words of the Torah, all the wisdom and all the Torah are in his heart. Now, obviously, the Creator didn't create us also to kind of fear him. Okay, so we don't want to be like fear-mongering here. The Creator, to fear the Creator is to fear to be opposite to the Creator's nature. Okay, that is what the fear of Creator is. Think about it. The love of the Creator is how I can love just like the Creator loves, right? So the fear of the Creator is, well, what if I can't do that? Okay, so what if I am unable to return the love that the Creator gives in an equal way? It's a problem, right? And is that realistic? Of course it's realistic, because in this world as well, if you ever loved anyone, you don't just think about how to do good things to them. You also worry about if you do something wrong. I mean, if you're really in love, that is. It's the 21st century. I know it's hard to kind of think about it, okay? But if you really care about someone, you not only think about making them happy, but you also worry and you're afraid of doing something wrong to hurt them. It's just a two-edged sword, all right? So this is what it's talking about here. So on the one hand, I have to come to the love of the Creator, to love like the Creator, and I've got to have the fear of the Creator. Well, what if I cannot do that? What if I mess up? All right? So that's also a good fear. That's a positive fear. Why? Because it's a fear from concern for the other person. Concerning fear, it is explained in the Slum, the ladder commentary, that it is fear that he might not be able to bestow upon the Creator, since it is the conduct of love that he wants to bestow upon the Creator. So not being able to bestow like the Creator is the fear. And you can't have one without the other. You can't just have love without fear. It just doesn't work out. It's like having, it's like having a day without a night. I mean, how can that, it's not going to work out, okay? So hence one who has love of the Creator wants to bestow. And this is called adhesion. So anybody who has the love of the Creator means anybody who has the desire to bestow and the ability to bestow is called in adhesion with the Creator, as in, and to cleave unto him. By this, the Creator passes onto him Torah and wisdom. So by this, a person becomes enlightened, right? It follows that he taught him on one leg, meaning that through the love of others, he will achieve the degree of the love of the Creator. And then he will be rewarded with Torah and wisdom. So once a person gets to the degree that he can love just like the Creator does, then he's obviously enlightened. Okay. Oops. And that's that. Excerpt number 3. Let's do that. Okay, this is from article number 270. Anyone with whom the spirit of the people is pleased. Number 2. Okay, this is the second article with the same name. So let's see what he's saying here. It is known that it is impossible to achieve love of the Creator before a person is rewarded with love of people through love your neighbor as yourself, which Rav Akiva said is a great rule in the Torah. That is, by this a person accustoms himself to love people, which is love of others, and then he can achieve the degree of loving the Creator. By this, we should interpret the above said, anyone with whom the spirit of the people is content, meaning that the spirit of the people is content with him, for he always engages in love of people and always watches out for love of others. Then the spirit of the Creator is also pleased with him, meaning he enjoys making the spirit of the Creator, meaning bestowing upon the Creator. But it is not so with one who engages in love of self. Then it is certain that the spirit of the Creator is also not pleased with him. All right, so let's take a look and read again. This is important, right? Because this is a point where I can actually start to measure myself. A lot of people say, well, how am I going to measure myself, right? So he's giving us a hint here. It is known that it's impossible to achieve love of the Creator before a person is rewarded with love of people through love your neighbor as yourself, which Rav Akiva said is a great rule in the Torah. So you might say, well, why is that? Why can't I just love the Creator? Well, because it's not about loving the Creator. The love of the Creator means I'm attaining a new attribute of how to love like the Creator. Okay, that's what the love of the Creator means. So if I am now attaining an attribute, a new attribute of really truly loving others like the Creator loves everybody, then what does it matter if I love the Creator or Tom, Dick, or Harry? Because I've changed. So it doesn't matter who I'm relating to. Okay, does it make sense? Right now, I love myself. Okay, we're in our egoistic nature. And if I only love myself, I don't care about who's in front of me. I'm going to make every calculation according to self-love. But now think about it differently. If I've attained a new form where I love others without self-consideration, then I'm going to treat everyone with love without self-consideration. Does that make sense? It should make sense. Like, it's pretty logical. Okay? That is, by this a person accustoms himself to love people, which is love of others, and then he can achieve the degree of loving the Creator. So once I begin to love others without any self-benefit, I begin to attain those degrees called the Creator. By this, we should interpret the above said, anyone with whom the spirit of the people is content, meaning that the spirit of people is content with him, for he always engages in love of people and always watches out for love of others. So our only happiness in life is actually if we are engaging in the love of others. Now, to a person in their egoistic nature, this is absolutely illogical. Okay, it's not really logical. Okay, but think about it. If you look at many great people in history, they've actually done everything for, well, seemingly done everything for other people, right? Your life actually becomes more meaningful when you live it for others. Because you've been living your life all this time for yourself, and now you're at a state of watching a Kabbalah lesson, which means that your life is like kind of meaningless at the moment, right? Because the wisdom of Kabbalah is seeking meaning, right? The meaning in life, okay? So that's where we got. Okay, so like I said in the beginning of the lesson, but look at it from outside of the box. So now if I think to myself, well, wait a minute, all this time I've been doing everything for myself and hasn't got me really anywhere in terms of self-fulfillment. What if I now begin to devote and dedicate my life to really the benefit of others? Okay? Why not give it a shot? So if we try that, we can then measure ourselves, can't we? What's kind of like changing? Okay, where are the ups and downs? Where am I succeeding? Where am I failing? How's my nature, my human nature reacting to this kind of new behavior? All this kind of changes, these personal changes we go through, we can now see them. Then the spirit of the creator is also pleased with him, meaning he enjoys making the spirit of the creator, meaning bestowing upon the creator. So by doing so, we're also bestowing to the creator. Why? Because if I'm a good kid and I'm taking care of my little siblings, mom and dad, they're happy, right? Well, same with the creator. If I'm taking care of other people, then the creator is thinking, oh, what a nice guy. What a nice guy. Okay. And then he's also happy. Why? Because the creator created us. So we're like his kids right now. Okay. And during this growing up phase, the only thing we can really give to the creator is the contentment of properly growing up. But it is not so with one who engages in love of self. Then it is certain that the spirit of the creator is also not pleased with him. And so if I'm only engaging in self-love, self-benefit, my life is about to, pretty much fall apart. Okay. And how do we know it's going to fall apart? Well, we've been living in self-love for ages. And as you can see, the world is falling apart, right? Really high rate in suicides, drug use, depression, all kinds of sicknesses, all kinds of misery. We're just not happy, right? So all of this time, we've been really trying really hard to fulfill ourselves. To know with no success. So as long as we're going to continue in that way, life is just going to get darker and darker and darker. And as you can see, as we progress as humanity, as we're moving forward, we're progressing, right? So our suffering is becoming more qualitative rather than quantitative. And what does that mean, qualitative? It means that I'm suffering internally. This is why we've got depression, right? I'm just lacking that inner fulfillment, lack of happiness, lack of joy, lack of everything. So, right, no dopamine. Woo, that's how it is. Okay, what can I tell you? So this is why we need to actually work as well. So a lot of people, this is why you can't get out of depression. If you are engaging only in self-benefit, you're always thinking about just yourself. There is no way you're going to get out of depression. They can't get you out of depression. This is why they prescribe drugs. They can't get you out of it. So they've got to write drugs. So everybody's now on drugs. Okay, everybody's on drugs. And what does drugs do? They calm you down. They shut you down. And that's no good either, because now you've got no mental faculties to really evaluate what you're going through. You got no mental faculties to kind of measure what your situation is and where you'd rather be. So you got none. You're just this numb person, numb and dumb. So that won't actually get you anywhere. All right, great. So we're going to call it a night over here. All right. Are there any questions before we go? No. Okay. So we're going to call it a night. Because we've got another program after this one, and then hopefully we'll hook up again next Tuesday. All right, all the best. Have a good one. Have a great evening. And the more we read these articles, you'll see that it makes sense to actually look at life from a completely opposite perspective. Bye-bye.